Hi, everyone, and welcome to our YouTube channel. This is the first episode in a series on us building our own home from start to finish. We wanted to share with you what we've learned through this process to help other people along. This first episode is going to be an introduction to how we started, first finding our own property and researching it, and then purchasing it. First off, we should answer the question of why should you listen to me? And the answer is you shouldn't. I'm not an expert. I do not work in the construction industry. I am learning just like you, but I've learned a lot over these past few years on the process of building my own home, and I wanted to share that with you. I'm just an engineer who loves to learn, and I really am very detail oriented. So I wanted to take what I've learned and share it with you. The next question you should ask is, should you build your own home? Is this right for me? And to answer that question, you should ask yourself these questions. Do you like a challenge? It's not easy. There is a lot to building your own home. And I know there's lots of YouTube videos and things out there that really make it seem like things are simple, but it's not. There's things that come up all the time, and there's always nuances to this that aren't always clear to an outsider. The next question I think you should ask is, can you find what you're looking for on the market or not? That was true for us. We wanted a specific style of home, a modern build, and we really could not find that on the market, at least not in our price range. So that's why we decided to go this route of building our own home. And frankly, do you want to save money? Hiring a general contractor is expensive. At a minimum, you're looking like spending at least 10% of your budget, if not 20% in a more realistic case, on a general contractor. And finally, can you dedicate all your free time for a year or more to this project? Like I said before, we've already dedicated more than a year to this project, and we haven't even started building the house. We've just cleared the land. It was more than a year searching for land and doing all the paperwork necessary in order to be able to build on that piece of land. So you were asking yourself, where do I start? And the answer is actually pretty obvious. You have to find your land. And in order to find your land, you really need to narrow down your search. Otherwise, you're going to be overwhelmed with the amount of property that's available on the market. Most of it is not going to be a good piece of land to build on. In order to narrow down your search, you need to really define what's important to you. And so we did the same thing. We defined what is important to us. And what was important to us was we wanted to be in a semi-rural area. I myself grew up in a rural environment surrounded by farms and cattle ranches. My wife grew up 30 minutes outside of Tokyo in a large city. We both like certain things about living near the city and liking and living in a rural environment. We like the peace and quiet of a rural environment. We like the nature that's around us, but we do like the convenience of a city where it doesn't take an hour to get to the grocery store. We were looking for a piece of land that was at least 1 acre. This is helped by the fact that we were looking in a semi-rural environment. It's going to be nearly impossible to find a piece of land in an urban environment that is over 1 acre. We're also looking for an area that had decent schools. We have 2 children, and we understand the importance of education, but my wife used to be a teacher, and she also understands that the schools can't do everything. We don't want a terrible school, but we don't need to have it be the best school in the state. We understand that a big part of education, it happens at home. We want a decent school for our kids to go to. But this may not be something that's important to you because you don't have children or you don't plan on having children. The next thing was we were looking for something that's close to jobs. That's probably true for almost everyone. You don't want to spend hours a day in traffic driving to and from work. And we were also looking for something that had easy access to the city amenities, like I just mentioned before. Things like attractions, airports, shopping, those kinds of things. But we were also looking for easy access to nature, parks, hiking, and beaches. So really ask your question, what things are important to you? Do you want to live out in nature and you don't care about city amenities? Then look out in the woods. Or you want to live close to the hustle and bustle of the city, then that's where you need to focus your attention. The next thing you need to be asking yourself is your land buildable? For us, one of the questions that we need to ask ourselves was, are there wetlands? We're building in Central Florida. There's a lot of wetlands in the area. Keep in mind that wetlands are not always wet. It may not be obvious that they're withstanding water. This is something that really, the final determination of whether or not there's wetlands, I recommend getting an expert. Hire yourself an environmental consultant for this job. It's really complicated, and there's a lot of specific details that go into determining whether or not something is a wetland. Your area may have its own unique challenges. Things like large slopes. Maybe you live in a mountainous area. You don't want to build on the side of a mountain where you have things like lots with a large slope. If you're building in a mountainous area where you have a very steep incline, that may not be buildable at all. And you don't want to waste your money on a piece of land that can't be built on. Or there may be other protected environments that are not wetlands or species in this area that you would have to be concerned with. In our area, some of the protected animals are tortoises. If there are tortoises on your property, they can be moved, but it's around $6,000 to relocate them to an off-site location. Does your lot have site access? There are lots of properties that are out in the middle of nowhere with no road access. You don't want to spend a lot of money on a piece of property that can't be accessed without having to build a road out to it. Is it in a flood zone? A lot of homes are built in flood zones. In my opinion, this is not a good idea. I understand why people might want to do it, but in the long run, you're spending a lot more money on flood insurance, and then you have the risk of your home flooding and having to rebuild multiple times. The next thing you want to consider are future climate risks. Things like flash flooding that we have just recently seen in Texas that have caused devastating loss of life and property damage, sea level rise, droughts, and wildfires, which we've seen earlier this year in even urban environments such as Los Angeles. This doesn't necessarily mean that you can't build in areas with these risks. It just means that you need to assess these risks and design with intention. Building a fire-resistant home in an area that's prone to wildfires is just a smart investment. Thank you for your time. And join me in the next episode where we're going to go through an exercise of checking for properties on Zillow and narrowing down what we would like to actually look at with your real estate agent and environmental consultant.